This is Pastor Bob at marriagehelp.com. Welcome to the first lesson on the first rule of the 10 rules of how to fight a good fight. Most people don't think about fighting a good fight when they get into an argument. They usually think of it as being a very painful thing or a hurtful thing. But in my experience, when you take two people, different genders, different families of origin, that means your family that you grew up in, different personality types, different goals as we grew up and we expanded. If you go back and remember, we also talked about how we have different fears within us that drive us, each in our different gender-specific greatest fears. You'll find that there's no way that anyone can think about being in a relationship and not having an occasional conflict. It's those couples that find ways to keep those conflicts and those arguments from becoming destructive and getting into patterns that make healing the relationship better. Here's the key. Number one, everything that we do should be specifically tuned to learn something specific about our partner, about ourselves as well, but also about our partner. The first rule is very specific. It says in the first lines of the 10 rules you'll see on the website, I love you, I'm going to take care of you, and nothing's ever going to change that. Not this discussion, not this argument, not this misunderstanding. You don't have to worry about whether I'm going to love you from this point forward. Now, the reason why that's in there in that format, it's the only one quite like that, is it's supposed to be words that you say out loud. These are words that we say at the very beginning of each argument. So when rather than just starting to get our voices raised and our back all bowed up and ready to go back to work, on what's wrong and what we have yet to what needs to be corrected. Instead, we say out loud, I love you, I will always love you, and this argument, no matter how it turns out, is going to change that covenant. You will find that that lowers the temperature of any discussion you're going to have. Because it's always the threat that somehow that love, that approval, that respect, whatever it is that we need most, our greatest fears, if you go back to that lesson, is going to be withdrawn. We're going to lose the most important thing in our relationship, in our lives. If we say these same words, I love you, nothing's going to change that, I'm going to take care of you. When it gets to the most intense part of the argument, we say it again at the close of the argument when we're putting the resolution all back together, what we decided to do about the problem. You will find that over and over again you have fewer things that you need to go back and repair after the argument has finished. I love you, I will always love you, and nothing's going to change that should be said by both people. It's not a one or the other. It's not the upset one that gets a chance to not have to say it to the other one. It's not just the one who is responding to what's being said. It's both individuals. And what it means is this: we can't break the promises we have made. I wasn't there when you got married. It may have been on a beach with a sunset in the background and the ocean stretched out into the infinity, almost like a symbol of our love going to go on forever. It may have been on a riverbank in Iowa, or it could have been in the chancel of a sanctuary someplace, standing before Almighty God and our entire family, or in a judge's chambers in the county courthouse. We promise to love, and you don't get a chance to change your mind. That was a lifelong promise. And just because we're having an argument, regardless of its reason, regardless of why it's coming up at this point, remember, you made a promise, and that is so important that everything about who you are and everything about what your life is going to be, hinges upon your faithfulness to keep that covenant that you made on that day, however long ago it was. It's not a decision that should be made lightly, because you're going to have to come back to that decision again and again and say, I promise to love you, and nothing's ever going to change that again and again and again. Be aware, this is a part of life in a loving and happy marriage relationship. Thank you.